Okay, how's it going, guys?
Very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Wonderful. Thank you for talking to me about what we become. Um, that's I got the title right, correct?
Yes, you got it. Yeah. No,
Sorry.
I'm happy to talk about it. It's been the passion of my life for like 3 years now. So please, thank you for coming and talking to us.
So was it 3 years ago that you had the spark, like, that gave you the idea for this?
Yeah, well, so funny enough, like when COVID hit, me and none of my closest friends were working at all. So we had all this free time and like we were trying to figure out what to do with it. And I actually like pushed us and challenged us to make a movie, to do something like fun with the time. And our whole house turned into a set. Like we were basically we it's funny, it was COVID and everybody was like relaxing and we were working harder than ever. Like I'd never seen so much passion come out of us. And we're getting up at 7 a.m. to go shoot in the woods and then like rearranging entire rooms and hiding couches in like bedrooms and stuff. Like we tore up the whole place, made a 1 hour movie that we posted on YouTube, and we had the time of our lives. So coming off of that, it was the we were starting to like play with, what do we do next? And the idea came around to do an apocalypse movie, but we wanted to figure out a way to do it differently than like so much of the rehashed territory that comes out nowadays, right? You've got a lot of like zombie shows and you got a lot of post-apocalypse movies, and it's a very like well-treaded territory. And we wanted to figure out how we could actually put our own spin on it while doing it with a micro budget, right? We're paying for everything out of pocket. So we don't have money for effects. We don't have money for any kind of like big sets and stuff like that. So we came with this idea where it's an apocalypse where everything that is green that grows from the earth becomes poisonous to people. Animals that eat the green are fine, but if humans eat those animals, they die as well. And so it's this very like targeted kind of strike, if you will, aimed at humanity. And like everybody who's still left can only survive by eating food that was packaged before the date everything went bad. So everybody is on a time limit. Like looking ahead, there at some point the food will run out. And the like we love this idea of people kind of trying to find purpose and identity in this world they don't recognize, knowing that at some point like they won't be able to keep going.
So when you got that idea, did you know that you were going to, did you also like plan on acting in the film?
Yes, I did actually. We've got a close group of us that just have tons of passion for this sort of thing. So we all kind of knew like, okay, since we're the core team, we're the ones who can be relied on the most. We're all wearing multiple hats. Our camera guy is going to be one of the main characters. Our writer is going to be one of the main characters. Like our arts guy for the whole website we built and stuff is going to be one of the main characters. Like we all love this stuff so deeply that we want to be on screen. We want to be behind the camera. We want to be doing all of it at once. So from the start, I knew that like I was going to be wearing whatever hat was needed that day. And it's been a fun like adventure for all of us, because seriously, we all go to set and yeah, we know we're on camera, but we really never know who's going to be doing what. But like we're a tight team that trusts each other and like knows how to work really well together. So it flowed. It really worked.
That's really awesome. Speaking of like con contributions, Jacob, Jacob, can you tell me a little bit about what you do exactly or did exactly for the film?
Yeah. Like Kyle mentioned, I met him shortly after COVID. He was just wrapping up his first film, and he showed us the trailer for the movie, and I knew the movie was mostly finished, but I have a background in 3D modeling and animation. And I just talked to him, and I could tell how passionate he was about his project. So I hopped onto that first film at the end and made some 3D animation for that. And with this one, knowing my background, Kyle just really brought me in a lot more. I got to help with editing the film. I created a whole new animated logo that we're going to get to see in the movie. And I added quite a bit of effects throughout that I'm really excited for everyone to see during the premiere next week.
That's awesome. So is this the first film that you've worked on? I know you said you have a background in 3D. technology.
Uh, this is the first feature film I worked on. Uh, I got to help Kyle briefly with his previous short film. And then prior to that, you remember I worked with Ian Lang when we were working on Red Hood the Fan series. And that was a great
Right.
opportunity as well to develop some of my 3D skills.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I didn't know that you also did the 3D stuff for Red Hood. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, that was a
But
blast.
that's cool. Yeah. So what um Kyle, can you tell me what the short film was that you guys did prior to this?
Yeah, so the short one we did, it's called Life. And the basis like for creating that was really doing one of those like psychological thrillers where you don't really know what's going on, where like step by step where we like reveal more, but it almost makes the story more confusing in a sense. I really wanted to produce one of those thrillers where you're truly like, okay, I think I got it. And then next scene, you're like, wait, but so what even is going on? Like, I love that kind of like that confused anxiousness you can get in those kind of like psychological thrillers up until the very end where it's revealed and you're like, oh, I got to watch it again to understand. And so I think we really delivered that well. It was also made on a micro budget. It was COVID. We were shooting it just around the house, but it's starring me and Eli, my best friend. And we spared no expense when it came to like utilizing this house. Like I said, we were flipping rooms and we were up on the roof and we're like, I shaved my head bald for it. Like on camera, I had a whole head shaving scene. We really like put the passion in. And that's when I was like, it was like the last day and we've been working so freaking hard and we were all exhausted, but like nobody skipped a beat. Nobody was like, I'm tired, let's be done. Everybody was like, all right, let's do it again. All right, let's do it again. And that's when I kind of knew. I was like, we got to do this forever. Like we're the team, we love it too much. We're putting in too much work. Like we need to keep this going.
Nice. So with that, you said it's called Life.
Yes, it's called Life. It is on our YouTube page right now. I'm happy to share those links with you if you'd like.
Please.
Yeah, no, you absolutely.
And then do you guys have anything in the works that's coming up beyond what we become?
Yes, so we're taking a much needed summer off. We're all going to relax, just be friends again. They say don't go into business with your friends, and we put that to like we learned why. It's tough like doing this thing like for real over a long period of time. But with the premiere happening next week, we're gonna enjoy like some much needed R&R. And then in the fall, we are shooting a rom-com that we're really excited about because it's half from the male perspective, half from the female perspective. It's really geared towards millennials. I feel like we don't have enough millennial, like almost coming of age, like love stories, right? There's the whole kick of them in like the 90s and 2000s, and you've got your cheesy ones coming out on Netflix now, but like we really want to make a movie that is hilarious and charming, but also like is very relatable to anybody in the millennial demographic who's had to go through like dating apps and like texting while dating and all the different ways that it's unique for our generation. The thing that makes me really excited about that project though is that the whole story is essentially told through the male protagonist telling his therapist and the female protagonist telling her therapist. And so the scenes that we drop to, the main characters will be talking to the camera as they are like recollecting what happens to the therapist. And so we get to have fun with like this Ferris Bueller-esque storytelling where not only is the character talking right to the camera and then to the audience, but their recollections of what went down might be kind of different. Her memory of date night might not be the same as his memory of date night. And if we play it back, like, back to back, you'll be able to spot those differences and stuff. And so we're super excited to play with that concept of like this, you are not getting a objective like storytelling. You are getting narration from memory in the face of a relationship, which has lots of hot emotions and lots of like, can get very skewed very fast.
So I'm guessing you're going to act in that one as well.
I am, yes. But luckily for this one, Eli's taken on the role of full-time director and writer, and he's not going to be in this one. and I'm gonna be able to fully act. And I'm actually really excited about that because it was a crazy challenge trying to write and well, like, so I wrote it and then I'm directing and then I'm producing and then I'm in it. And I remember being on camera, it was hard to stay in it because my head's on everything else, right? I'm directing as well. So I'm paying attention to, okay, is that the right line? Okay, nice. Did he just hit his mark? Okay. And my head was in 80 different places. And I'm excited to be able to take on a role where I can just act. I can just be the character, not need to worry about all that stuff. Just take orders from somebody else and like give it the best I can.
So Jacob, are you involved in that one too?
That remains to be seen, but I hope so.
Oh, of course. No, yeah. Jacob has been such like a committed ride or die part of the team. He was one of our villains in What We Become. And he's got this like crazy, like over the top steampunk get up. And because our villain's philosophy is like, it's the end of the world. Everybody like dress to your truth, right? We wanted all of our villains to be really like over the top and extravagant because who are you trying to impress anymore? So day after day, Jacob showed up in his full steampunk like outfit with the mask and the hat and the heavy leather. And we shot on some hot days. Like we shot out in the middle of like Michigan woods on like a 80, 90 degree day, humid as hell. And Jacob was just dripping sweat.
Where in Michigan?
So that was shot over in like the Maybe area, if you know where that is.
Well, I'm in
I
Toledo,
can also point it
Ohio.
out down here.
Yeah, that's pretty close to me. I'm in Toledo, Ohio.
Oh, yeah, nice. Okay, so we shot in Maybe, Michigan. We shot up in like the Traverse City area and like Torch Lake area. We went up to like around Sleeping Bear Dunes. We shot in the Upper Peninsula. Something that was really like key to filming this was we wanted it to visually feel different from any like a post-apocalypse movie that came before. I feel like you get a lot of the same kind of like aesthetic when it comes to the post-apocalypse, with it being dark and gritty and very like urban and very just like destruction all around. And we wanted to capture as much like natural beauty as we could to like lay in the idea that nature's taken back over, that this, all the plant life became poisonous to us. And now the plant life is what's thriving. And so Michigan, you've got beautiful seasons. I'm sure, yeah, you get them too in Toledo. And in fall time, we shot in fall, winter, and spring. So in the fall time, we capture all these beautiful forests that are with the leaves that are changing. And then in winter, I wanted to capture as massive of a vista as we could, just covered in snow, and have us be ants in the field, just like crossing through it. And then in the springtime, there's this great sense of like regrowth and renewal as like all the like nature comes back and blooms brighter than ever. So we really were like, yes, the material's dark, like it's still an apocalypse movie, it's a drama, we have lots of character deaths. We really did everything up to the nines. There's lots of action, lots of character deaths, there's a love story, there's everything we could kind of pack into this, but visually you are constantly being presented with like nature at its most beautiful.
So when you write the characters, do you ever have trouble not, because I imagine when you write the characters, you already know which of your friends is playing which of the characters. Do you ever have a tough time like blurring the lines between who they are versus their character when you're writing it?
That's a really good question, but no, but there was a certain sense of like, okay, as we are crafting this character, we need to like, there was one guy on the team that like, I know he's got a lot of like, he's a very genuine person. He's got a lot of heart, but he's not very good at like doing acting per se. And so we kind of like crafted a role that allowed him to just be as genuine as he could without having to like pretend to be somebody else full time. And then he could just focus on his lines and deliver them like as naturally and as like wholeheartedly as he could instead of pretending to be somebody else. So while it wasn't difficult to, we weren't like blurring the lines, when we were crafting the characters, we were kind of making sure that each of them fell within the scope and range of talents as the actors that we were giving to them. And that also allowed, we got one guy that's really like flamboyant and kind of over the top, very extra. And like, we wanted to allow him to like, let that come through on screen and let that like play out. So we kind of catered these characters to the strengths of the actors that would be behind them.
So we talked a little bit about Jacob's role, which is villainous. Are you on the opposite side of that in this
Yes, I'm technically one of the heroes. I play the the one who's done a lot of bad to keep the crew alive to get here. And I've got the arc of like, well, can a man who's done some really awful shit throughout the story, or sorry, before the story even begins, recover and redeem himself, even though he knows that, as you know, the food's running out, there isn't much time left. Like, is it better to just wait to die and like cut your losses, or to try to find something to like redeem yourself with the time you have left? And so something else I really do like about the story is that we've got three main characters who are all kind of going on these like separate journeys. Two of them are brothers. So one of them's me, who's got this dark past, and he's trying to like to overcome and get past that. His younger brother is he's our knight in shining armor, our like stalwart man that believes in good and like is going to try as hard as he can to hold on to that good. In the face of this like coming of age story with him. I really wanted to, we shot it in 3 seasons. I really wanted his character to feel like a boy in the beginning and a moody adolescent in the middle, and then like a fully grown like man by the end. And then our third main character is on this very spiritual journey. He's trying to find all the answers. He's on a quest for God. He's on a quest for himself. He's looking to find out why all this happened. And our villain kind of presents him with answers. Our villain claims to know why this went down and what we need to do to fix it and save ourselves. And so I do like that there is this balance between one story that is very like spiritual, as this one as with what characters searching for enlightenment, and then we have our other main story is just it's this very like family story between two brothers and the tension they're facing. And the one brother picks up a girl that comes with the team, and that like kind of like impacts their relationship as well. And I'm really hoping that in the audience, that whether it's through the story of like the brotherly tension or through the story of trying to find yourself, that people will like identify with one of these like main characters as they go through the journey.
So for your character, Jacob, what's the lens that your character looks at this story through? Like, what does your character see?
I think my character is largely putting on a facade. I think my character is honestly terrified by the world he lives in, and it has gone to an extreme to make himself seem bigger than he actually is. I think his goal is he's scared, so he's trying to make everyone else scared with him, so that he feels like he's got some sense of control. We get to explore him a little bit, but I think there's potential to maybe do some more story with him in the future. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, well, the big question right now is like, when we got done filming, we put it all together front to back, and we had 5 hours of footage. We went so hard in collecting footage, and we're like, okay, we are not a Christopher Nolan yet. Like, we are not allowed to drop a 3-hour movie. And so it took us a while to like figure out how to rework this thing to fit within a time crunch that will make sense and still be like engaging for the audience, because you don't want to cut out so much that we're losing the plot. And so while like we have cut it down to a nice like 2.5 hours, that I think because we packed so much into that, it's constantly moving, constantly like this movie is rushing through this big adventure even at 2.5 hours, and we cover a lot of ground, and I think in a way that's constantly going to keep the audience on their toes. But down the road, like we still have 5 hours of footage, so we are very open to dropping it on YouTube, like in 5 episodes or something like that, or kind of figuring out if anybody does want to pick it up. Like we're happy to put the footage there as well. So while the movie is one thing, like we've got all this other content that we are kind of sitting on, ready to throw at whoever, like whatever it is that it's needed for.
So sorry. I wanted to know what, with you writing this and choosing this theme, what apocalyptic stories are in the realm of what you base this on?
I when you say based it on, like, I did try as hard as I could to like go in my own direction with it, right? I wanted to separate myself from the other stories. But as we're watching it back, it's just really funny that Last of Us just came out, another post-apocalyptic story involving like plant life that is like toxic to people. And like, but when it comes to like tone, I think like it is a very like Last of Us and almost Walking Dead-esque. When it comes to like, yes, you know, we avoided zombies as much as we could, but it's still like a dark, like it's a brutal world. You know, where there's a sense of like adventure that I think you get from Last of Us and Walking Dead as well, where there's like a lot of movement, there's a lot of motion, there's a lot of like going from point A to point B, both like from a character journey perspective and like physically where they're like actually going. And I'm really like, I keep telling people, because it's not a family friendly film. It's not, there's a lot of swearing, there's a lot of deaths and stuff. But I keep telling my family, if you liked Last of Us, like you will love this. That's kind of the perfect baseline to let people know. Now it's not copying Last of Us. I think it's very different in all the healthiest ways. So people who have seen Last of Us and did like it will enjoy that this is almost like an expansion on that kind of storytelling.
Nice. So, for each of you, is there anything that about the movie that you feel like you haven't been asked before, or in this interview that you would like to share about it?
Jacob, do you have anything? One of the biggest things I want to share personally is that like this piece was made with so much like just effort and passion from the people around us that love us, that it became this like amazing labor of love from this massive village that truly just had our backs at the end of the day. And we host a lot of parties, we like to go out a lot, and like anybody who took interest, we recruited them to be in the movie. Or if they sounded like they thought it'd be fun, we're like, great, can we kill you on screen? Can we give you lines? Can we cover you in blood? Like what are the parameters here? And like I'm hoping that people will be able to see the passion like come through from the screen by the mere number of locations that we used, which we owe to a ton of families that just opened up their properties for us to do battle scenes, or for us to just like trudge through. There's a ton of extras that like just came through because they love movies and they wanted to be a part of it. There's a ton of people that donated props and donated their time and food. And it was just this, me being the producer, I was kind of like the core of the whole thing. And I got to witness firsthand just how much like love and support we had as a team. And it really was one of the most like heartwarming things that I've ever been through.
For the in the trailer, you can see, you know, somebody get hit with an axe and it goes pretty deep. I'm curious about the prosthetics there and how that worked.
So to be honest, there were not a lot of prosthetic work, but we essentially had like gallons of fake blood on set, like at all times. And we just got as clever as we could with using like camera tricks to, you know, show an impact that you don't see on screen. But then when the camera flips to the other side, we have it, you know, like pushed in with the blood coming out. We had no problem just ripping clothes and stuff right there. We don't have any like gun effects or any kind of like prosthetics or any kind of crazy effects like that. But that really challenged us to get as creative as we could with building action scenes that are still engaging, with still making it feel realistic and interesting. Because if you do have an action scene and we're just like bonking each other on the head, like you can lose a crowd so fast. That's the big thing I'm trying to avoid here is we're going to have a theater full of people. If they stop taking us seriously as filmmakers, we're going to lose their attention and like they're not going to pay attention to the movie. And so throughout the entire process, we had to be as like clever and as smart as we could to make sure that it felt real despite not having those effects. Like, and honestly, we looked back at a lot of like old school movies for that kind of stuff too. Like, how did they do action scenes in like the 70s before they were going crazy on effects and prosthetics as well. Like, how do we just find ways to beat the system without having to pay an arm and a leg for all that stuff?
For the future, do you think that you will always avoid physical confrontation and affect them that way because of the way that you said you didn't want it to turn the audience on you? Do you think you'll avoid it in all your films?
No, I don't. To be honest, I think I'm excited to see where this one takes us, right? What kind of attention does it pull? What kind of money does it bring us? Like, this is our big opening statement to the world of cinema. Like, be it a small one or a big one, who knows? I need to find that out. But I'm really hoping that movie by movie, we will have more budget, we'll have more resources, we'll be able to go slightly bigger than the last one. And down the road, I'm fully open to doing, full special effects, full practical effects, prosthetics, the whole nine. If we've got the budget for it, let's make the most awesome, like, sci-fi action movie anyone's ever seen. Like, I'm dreaming big here. If we got the the tools needed to get the job done, then we will absolutely take it to those heights. We just got to like work our way up there first. And something that I am kind of happy about is that with this movie, we really we bit off not more than we could chew, but we took on a lot by making a movie where you can't have any people in the backgrounds. All your locations need to look somewhat apocalyptic. We've got a ton of extras. We've got a ton of action. There was just a lot of like necessary pieces to make this thing work. Whereas when we're going to go shoot a love story, that's easy to just like, put a small group around a dinner table. Oh, now we're going to the bar. Oh, now we're walking down the sidewalk. And if there's people in the background, if, like whatever it is, it's 10 times easier than trying to ship out 40 people, 40 minutes to maybe Michigan, where we're going to be shooting in the middle of the hot, sweaty woods. So you better bring some water. I think we took on a very, very challenging project for our first one. And looking at everything else is going to be a breeze because it will not compare to how hard it was to make this movie.
I think that's all I have. So I'm curious if you have anything that you'd like to plug.
Like to plug?
Yes. Well, I know we talked about your films, but I didn't know if you had any other like side projects that you wanted to mention or anything like that.
I'd love to just plug our YouTube page as a whole. Before we even got this movie out, we were just creating fun content for the sake of it. So we've got videos of like one of our people reading an original poem, and we filmed a video to go with it. We've got little YouTube shorts. We've got mashups where we take scenes from a movie and cut them to a song and have the song tell the story of the movie. So we're nerds at heart. We love this stuff. And we created a whole YouTube page just out of passion to basically as an excuse to create the things that we love. And so if people also have a love for this, for the nerdverse, all of it, like pop culture as a whole, go check out the website. We've got tons of stuff that we just created because we love all of it ourselves.
I had a question I was going to ask you that I forgot. I forgot it again. Okay, I guess that's all I have then. Is there any social media that you'd like people to find you on other than YouTube?
Yes. Can I'll send you links because I think we're on the same email chain. So I'll send you links to our Facebook and our Instagram.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me. It's been great. And I'll talk to you guys next time.
Thanks, Appreciate
Joe.
it.
Good to see you.